Hey folks, welcome back. Gary and Carl and Moss's Creek Outdoors. I'm gonna just go out and do a little walking around in the snow here. Way back in the backside of the country, it's some real beautiful sights out in the snow, and I'm gonna load my rifle up and carry with me as well, and I'm gonna get out and walk around here a little bit. And I got some places I want to look at with the snow on. Probably be some ice, maybe some interesting ice effects on something, I don't know. As well as I'm wanting to bring out about 5 or 6 of my trail cameras today. I see a good many wildlife tracks in the snow going up this road right here in front of me. That's another good thing about the snow is you can get out when the snow's on, and you can just tell where everything has walked. Deer, predators, everything else, whatever it might be. But I'm gonna just take as I put it, a little sightseeing spin here and see what I can see. Deer have been moving all up and down this road right here. Tracks like crazy. There's a canine track right there. Looks like probably coyote. Tracks like crazy up through here. I'm here where the old Bartley grist mill used to be back in I guess from the early 1800s up to around the 1920s as I ever knew. This is also the 1955 drowning site of State Constable Robert Stanton Taylor. He lived about a quarter of a mile back up the creek up here, and he wandered off down here and drowned in this mill pond. And when Robert wandered down here before he drowned, Robert got up under that big rock right there that you see those icicles hanging off of. He piled up a little pile of sticks up under that rock and attempted to build a fire. But his old story was a pile of sticks had never been lit. So, and he wandered off out here in this mill pond and drowned. just a very, very beautiful area back in here. Very vast, very peaceful. The big, huge icicles that's usually hanging off these rocks aren't here. I would have figured they would have been here. It might be over the next couple of days once things kind of starts thawing out. Ain't nothing gonna thaw out today. I think the high is barely 20 degrees today. And it's gonna be another day or two before we get up above freezing, but it may be when things and the moisture starts draining off of that hill before the big icicles comes off those rocks. But there's icicles as big as my leg hangs off those rocks. I'll go over here and I want to have a little closer look at them anyway. Right there up under that rock. That's where Robert Taylor was. You can see it's kind of dry ground, kind of like a shelter up under this rock. This is where Robert was. There's a story I heard he had a little pile of sticks up under here. There's an old bottle laying up under there. I don't know if that's an old whiskey bottle or what. Big icicle there. That one's about big as my arm, nearly. Yeah, Robert was up here under this rock. And he wandered off out there and drowned in that old gristmill pond in 1955. I will put a link to the Robert Taylor video down in the description on this video. So if you haven't watched that story, it's an interesting story. That story is also including a Another cousin of my granddad's named Jess Taylor that died about a half a mile back up the creek up here. It was an interesting story as well. I believe Jess got a hold of some poison whiskey, as I've heard, and he was found dead on the side of the creek about a half a mile back up here. Jess was my granddaddy's mother's brother. He wasn't but 25 when he was found. I later found out that Jess was found by a man named Eric King that used to live on the north side of the creek up there. But an interesting story. Like I said, I'll put a link to the Robert and Jess Taylor video in the description on this video, so you can go and watch that if you hadn't already. I'm gonna ease on back up a creek up here and pull a trail cam or two that's in this general vicinity back around on this side. There's an old whiskey barrel. I'm pretty sure that come from an old whiskey still. Used to be 300 or 400 yards back up the hillside behind me, back east of me up here. Pretty sure it's where that come from. Now here, I'm going to tell you a little story involving my grandparents from back in 1963, when they said it was so cold and there was 17 inches of snow and the temperature was 13 below zero. When my granddaddy's mother still lived close to where we do today, there used to be folks around her house all the time and every weekend, and there was friends and cousins from other parts of the country that would come in and be with her and visit with her. My grandparents got married December the 20th, 1961, and in 1963, one of my granddaddy's cousins named James was down here from up north. So they set out one day to take James back home. They was headed to Chicago, to be exact. My grandmother said when they left there wasn't any snow here, but it looked like it was going to start at any minute. They made it all the way to Chicago without getting in any snow. So they got James home safely and headed back. And she said the whole trip back to Tennessee from Chicago, they drove in snow. And she said the snow kept getting deeper and deeper and harder the closer they got back to home. They made it back to approximately 5 to 6 miles from my granddaddy's mother's house, and they slid off the side of the road in the snow on the inside of this curve. My grandmother said she only had on some kind of little thin shoes that wasn't insulated or anything, and she asked my granddad after they slid off the road, "What are we going to do now?" He said, "Why, we'll have to walk." Again, the temperature was 13 below zero, and there was 17 inches of snow. They got out of the car and started walking. They walked approximately 3/4 of a mile all the way up this stretch of road that you see here to be able to reach the next house. Once they started walking, my grandmother only made it about halfway because her feet was about froze. So my granddaddy had to pick her up and tote her on his shoulder, and to go along with that, she was 3 months pregnant. As they walked, my grandmother kept asking my granddad, "How much further? How much further?" He answered and said, "We're almost there. We're almost there." And just thankfully, once they reached that next house, those folks was home to be able to let them in to sit by the fireplace to finally get warm again. If those folks hadn't have been home, my grandparents stated a many a time they would have had to have broke in to have gotten warm. And that was one of my grandparents' big stories from 1963. There's Moss's Creek right there. There's a big, kind of like a flooded wood duck paradise in that bottom right there on the other side of the creek. I come up through here a week or two ago, and man, that was solid matted with wood ducks. It don't look like there's been very much stuff moving across this levee right here. I've seen a bunch of rabbit tracks. I ain't seen no deer's been up here on this yet. But she is froze like I don't know what. Historic Bartley Grist Mill, established on Mosses Creek, early 1800s. Marker placed by Joyce and Garen Carlin. Years of operation, early 1800s through the 1920s. Mosses Creek Outdoors, 2023. 1955 drowning site of State Constable Robert Stanton Taylor in Old Mill Pond. Mosses Creek Outdoors, 2023. Well, folks, I hope you've enjoyed the mighty cold day of walking around. I've seen a good several things and got to enjoy the country a pretty good little bit today out in the snow. We have just encountered a really big snow here, and I believe it's the coldest my grandmother told me she remembers it being since 1963. The back roads back in the country, they're still completely froze over. They're still just like a solid sheet of ice. And, people can't hardly get anywhere. People can't get out, get in, and pretty much you name anything else. There's people around the country that's out of water. There's a lot of government agencies around, that's helping folks out as far as getting water. A lot of the towns around are out of water. There's so many people, leaving their water running at night to keep things from freezing up. And but when you get back off in the country and back out in the county in the rural areas and get back in the areas where it's just very peaceful and vast, there's some beautiful scenes, just really, really beautiful. And right here behind me is the historic marker sign that me and my grandmother placed back last year, marking the historic Bartley Grist Mill and the 1955 drowning site of State Constable Robert Stanton Taylor. We placed this historic marker sign here on the farm, here on the county road. Everybody that passes by the farm here reads this sign. We've seen people stopped in the road here, making pictures of it with their phone and I don't know what else. And it just, it draws a lot of interest within other folks out there. So, but again, I believe she told me it's about the coldest, or been the coldest here in this part of southwest Tennessee that she could remember since around 1963. But I know it's been mighty, mighty cold, and it's been a lot of snow. I think there's been, 8 inches here, I think. Maybe closer to 10 inches in some spots, but it's been a pretty big snow. It's become the biggest one it's been in a long time. So I appreciate you watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, get out and enjoy the great outdoors wherever that it may be out there in today's world. I'm Garen Carlin, Mosses Creek Outdoors, and I'll see you next time.